Congressman Tipton main line is not answering. This mailbox is full and cannot accept new messages. To disconnect, press 1. To enter another number, press 2.
Come on, Scott Tipton. I want for you to dispel the myths. It seems like you are killing poor people. You are going after poor people and making sure that poor people don't have any health insurance. Make sure everybody gets kicked off of Medicaid. Not only are we not going towards single payer, that's the continuum, right? Everybody gets health care versus nobody gets health care. We definitely went towards less people having health care, so we're going away from single payer health care, which is the only system that makes any goddamn sense whatsoever. And had Obama and the Democrats not conceded the public option 8 years ago, then we wouldn't be in this mess that we're in right now. Kerry Kennedy is correct by saying that 600,000, over 500,000 Coloradans are going to lose their health insurance. This goes specifically for Medicaid. Within 3 years, they want to make sure nobody gets on the Medicaid plan, on the Medicaid expansion. This was a direct attack on the Medicaid expansion. This is a Medicaid contraction, a Medicaid retraction, whatever, deletion. So it's going backwards. I'm also under the impression that there's going to be a 30% surcharge if you drop the insurance for over 63 days. So not only did the individual mandate stay, fucking hypocrites, but there's going to be more. They're going to fine you 30% more if you don't carry their private health insurance for the next 63 days. Now, they kind of were cowardly a little bit, and they're delegating it to the states. So they're allowing the states to either, go ahead and cut their own Medicaid rolls, which will help them. They won't get as much federal monies, but they will get federal monies for, the expanded Medicaid, but it's cut drastically, and so it's disincentivized. But they allow the states. Do you want the Medicaid expansion? Do you want any of the things that Obamacare has, proposed? Do you want any of this whatsoever to the states, right? And let them fall on the sword for not providing universal health care. Colorado tried to get universal health care last year on the ballot initiative, but it voted down. But I wonder now if it was put back on the ballot, if it would be voted back up, because if the state isn't going to take care of the health care industry, the insurance, then nobody is, right? If the American government isn't and the state isn't, then it's on your own. So like Jimmy Dore says, it's basically TrumpCare 2.0 is to make sure that you have nicer funerals. Because just die already. You're not going to have any fucking health insurance. Just die. You save so much taxes when, it's somebody else's babies. Let their mothers worry about it. I once heard a Republican tell me that. Let their mother worry about them. And so just die. That's TrumpCare 2.0. Just die already. But you will save money so you can, pay for the expensive funeral costs. So we're going to have nicer funerals. That's a Jimmy Dore joke. And then I also heard that employers contribute to the health plans. So if the employers contribute to the health plans now, that's considered taxable income. So that's going to be taxed. So they're disincentivizing employers from, contributing to the health plans now. It's solely up to the employees. And this is increase of taxes. This is what Republicans believe in, increase of taxes. This thing was shoved in 24 hours ago. Lindsey Graham said you should be skeptical of anything that was, presented 24 hours ago. So the Senate's talking about rewriting their own bill, which if they start from scratch, maybe they'll get single payer. It doesn't sound good because Bernie, the Democrats versus the Republican makeup in the Senate is 52 to 48. 52 Republicans to 48 Democrats. So the only way we'll get single payer is if Mitch McConnell was to agree with single payer. Trump at one point wanted single payer, but during the campaign, Rand Paul made him promise that he wouldn't do single payer. No, I'm not liberal. I don't want a Canadian health care plan like I said I was going to be for in that one magazine article. So Trump was for single payer health care. felt the Canadian style of just, if you're sick, go to the hospital and get taken care of system was better at one point, but then because of the campaign election, all of a sudden he's not in favor of it, and he's going to fuck up, okay? If Donald Trump, it doesn't seem like there's no hope. This also shows exactly who the fuck Donald Trump is. If you thought that, oh, he's, liberal with this and liberal with that, he is going to sell the poor people out for the rich. When it comes to how this helps the rich, they don't have to, buy into. They don't have. It seems like this is all for the rich, right? The more poor people you get to cut off the health care rolls, the less taxes. So good for the wealthy, good for the corporations, good for the insurance industry, good for, all the bad and all the wrong people. So this is a total sellout of the working class people, any of the blue collar working class people. You should look at Trump and you should be like, fuck you, man. Fuck you. The VA, right? The VA is pretty good. That's government health care. So why don't we have that for everybody? At least they have somebody to go to, right? Don't veterans like the VA? So some of the quick facts here. The vote came down 217 to 213. I'm pretty sure there's 435 total. So that means 5 people didn't vote, and it was only 4 vote difference. So the 5 people that didn't vote could have swayed this one way or another. Maybe they just didn't show up. Maybe there's vacancies. But all 193 Democrats voted against it in solidarity. Good for the Democrats on that front. They were singing, but the singing is kind of sour grapes, right? They're saying, goodbye to your jobs in 2 years, which is true. So in every district where the Republicans had voted for it, like Scott R. Tipton, I should run against Scott R. Tipton just because of his vote on this health care thing. He's a Republican, so it wasn't that shocking, but that is my representative here, and he's not representing me. And Pueblo is a poor city, so there's lots of poor people here. And people need their health care. So Scott R. Tipton does not represent the people of Pueblo. He is, a right-winger for the big businesses, for the bankers, for the oil executives, for the profits, not for the health of his people. So how it breaks down in Colorado, Ed Perlmutter, he voted against it. He's a Democrat. He's running for governor of Colorado. He voted against it, so good for Ed Perlmutter on that front. Mike Kaufman might be the biggest hero, though, in Colorado because he's a Republican, and he voted against it. So good job, Mike Kaufman, for bucking your own, party, and most of the people that voted against it just didn't approve of the Medicaid deletion. They didn't want people to get kicked off of Medicaid. They thought that's not only bad politics, but just immoral, which it is. Healthcare is a human right, so this shit is immoral. Mike Kaufman voted against it. He's a GOP deflector. And you had Diana DeGette who voted against it. Jared Polis voted against it. So we had 4 of the 7 representatives of Colorado voted against TrumpCare 2.0. Now the ones who voted for it, Ken Buck, kiss my ass, Doug Lambert, suck my dick, and Scott R. Tipton, go fuck yourself, man. He voted in favor of it. So we do have 3 fucking Republicans in this state with representatives, 3 representatives of Colorado who does not give a shit about the health of their own people. And they are Scott R. Tipton, and it is Ken Buck and Doug Lamborn. Fuck those guys. Fuck those old, crusty, curmudgeon, out of place, out of touch, fucking dickholes. Fuck them assholes. Fuck them motherfuckers. So 20 Republican representatives voted against it. All 193 Democrats voted against it. But enough voted in favor of it. They won by 4, 217 to 213. And this is a repeal and replace. That's essentially what it is. It's just a nice little, Trump said he was going to repeal and replace. So that's what this bill is. It's a repeal and replace Obamacare. He put in his own fucking form of health care, and the old Obamacare was just a right-wing Republican idea anyways by the Heritage Foundation, the Mitt Romney, and it was Bob Dole's plan. I think Nixon came up with this plan. So Obamacare was a right-wing Republican idea to begin with, and the Republicans just made it more right-wing. There were things a part of it. Now, the pre-existing conditions, I wonder about it, because some people say that they cannot be kicked off for pre-existing conditions. But since it's given up to the states, so the states say, okay, we don't want your money for the Medicaid, expansion anymore. So it's up to the states, and the states get to decide if the free market decides to have, cover pre-existing conditions or not. The free market is clear. Of course they don't want to cover pre-existing conditions. If you're an insurance group, if you're a corporation trying to make some money and you got some person that has all the health problems in the world, all the pre-existing conditions in the world, of course you're going to drop them. You don't want sick people. Insurance companies don't want sick people on the rolls. They don't want to have to pay a damn dime. They want insurance, healthy people paying them lots of money and never being able to use it or never going to the hospital, and then they're going to make a shit ton of money. This is all about the insurance companies, every bit of it. Trump wants to say that the Democrats were against it because they were, getting donations by the insurance lobbyists. He's right, but that's also true of the Republicans. So they're both in line with one another. There was going to be $14 million kicked off of Medicaid by TrumpCare 1.0, and so this was just a month ago or so. So 2.0 is probably very similar. 14 million Americans are going to get cut off of Medicaid by next year, 24 million by, 20 or 30 years from now. So this is definitely going to come after people's health care. This is not a good thing. This is going away from single-payer health care. We're getting farther and farther, into the abyss. We're in no man's land, going into a black hole over here of insurance company profits, and we're not getting any closer to our humanity. Healthcare is a human right, and the Republicans are totally wrong. Trump, you can fix this. Trump, if you pull your head out of your fucking ass and get a single-payer health care, you'll be remembered forever. Your legacy will be solid. TrumpCare will mean something. Remember when Trump got us universal health care? Remember when Trump did that? That you want people to say that shit, then get us a good fucking health care. You said you're going to give us the best and lower, rates and have more people covered. That was all bullshit. Everything that fucking Trump was promising was total bullshit. Every bit of it. So what this means for us essentially is we got to call our senators. There's one Democrat, one Republican in Colorado. I just called Scott R. Tipton, but he's all his voice mailbox is full, so he's not listening to people. I bet people are pissed off about this shit, and rightfully so. And we need to go after Ken Buck and Doug Lamborn for voting in favor of it. And we should give Diana DeGette, Jared Polis, Mike Kaufman, and Ed Perlmutter. Ed Perlmutter, all these representatives, they're just desserts because they did the right thing. They voted against it. They resist. We've got to resist. The only thing that will stop permanent war, the antidote to permanent war, is permanent revolution. And so we have to resist. We have to stand up. And it's not just the resistance. We have to engage and overcome. So we got to beat these motherfuckers. And these three guys, I hope they do lose their seats. TrumpCare is going to be a disaster. That's no questions about it. Leave it up to the free market. We've been doing that for fucking decades. Hasn't worked. It's not going to work. Before, Obamacare at least gave the power to the peasants, and it made the doctors and the hospitals respect those who had no money. So the people who hadn't been respected, unfortunately, the people who weren't getting respected were now getting some respect, but those people don't vote. Poor people don't vote. There are middle-class people who care about the poor who vote. And so that's where we're at right now. The poor people don't fucking vote. And so, TrumpCare 2.0, he took that into account. Well, you guys don't vote anyways. I'm not losing any votes. Politically, this is, the people that it hurts, they don't vote. So politically, this is actually a safe bill, except for those bourgeoisie who give a shit. So thank God for those people. So my take on this is that Obamacare has overturned. The era of Trump Republicanism has begun. The Senate will come up with some shit. Lindsey Graham talks all the shit in the world, right? You should be skeptical of it, right? They did just come up with this, 24 hours ago, and then they just shoved it down the House of Representatives' throats, just shoved it right down there, had them all just, bend over, and they all took it. And, while there is a homophobic element to that, talk about Stephen Colbert, everybody going, the Republicans being outraged by, hey, that's homophobic. Okay, yeah, Republicans, I'm sure you really give a shit when somebody's being homophobic. Colbert has a national platform, and they hate it. He went straight for the jugular with that cock holster thing with the Trump monologue and Putin. But when I say something like that, what I mean is the oppressor versus the oppressed. And, hierarchy is bullshit, and both the oppressor and the oppressed are afraid of freedom. And so if we truly want to liberate ourselves, then, nobody should, be obedient or bow down to any other person. Every man a king, every woman a queen. We're all gods. So let's respect all of our, godliness. So perhaps that's not right to put it on, make it homophobia, but it's more of a power thing. Who has the power? Who doesn't have the power? The one sucking the dick doesn't have the power. The one getting their dick sucked has the power. Well, I guess during the dick sucking, the dick sucker has the power, but I guess it's any intimacy between two people that's between them two. But when it comes to power politics, the biggest problems that I see comes from hierarchy. Now, there are some good uses of power. When we build our schools and build hospitals and we are actually giving a shit about each other, healthcare, that's a good use of power. But just using power for power's sake, all corporations, schools, hospitals, all institutions everywhere, even the political establishment is clear, chain of command. There's definitely a corporate ladder, a ladder of hierarchy. And fuck the hierarchy. Fuck the hierarchy. Everybody's kissing the boss's ass, but the slaves just united and said, we're not going to take this shit no more. Then we get our freedom. And we're not just fighting for our own individual freedom, we're fighting for the liberation of everybody. So